Today.
Does a robot know you like a neighbor?
Insurance Corporation will fulfill requests to cover anyone, anything, anytime, anywhere, with most standard algorithm in the order it was received. Please hold.
Robots.
Good. How are you?
Good to have you back, bro.
Aaron is back. Glad to be back.
Yeah. How was your time away?
It's your future. It was nice. It was nice to get away and have some. I feel on vacation.
There you go. Where'd you go?
We went to me and my girlfriend went down to California and kind of ventured and hung out with my friends. We did like a trip to Disneyland. We just got everything out of the way that we've been missing.
Okay, really cool.
Oh, you messed up, man. You said Disneyland instead of Magic Mountain. That's what you should have done. That's what you should
I
have
was thinking she loves roller coasters, and I was wondering why we weren't just doing Six Flags, because my favorite ride there is from the credit is one of the rides in California Adventure Park, first roller coaster. But next time you gotta go do Six Flags.
There you go. That's exactly what you guys did.
Yeah, I sent you over the run sheet. We just have one call at 11:30 to Deborah Dubree.
Okay, cool.
And if we get to the movies, you're always welcome, bro.
Got it. It's hold for the Dan Patrick Show.
One of my favorite moments, Aaron just got to say is going to be one of the favorite moments of the show forever, is when you talked about the LeBron's movie. That was one that was so unexpected.
Yeah, I had to talk on it because it ruined my day when I saw it.
I'm glad you did.
I had to speak up.
Preach.
You're live.
And welcome to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Your host, Ed Smith, joined by my brother and co-host, Mr. Javon Adams,
Yes, sir.
a.k.a. MCJ Love.
Yeah, man.
And I want to wish you a happy day after Friday the 13th.
Right.
So a lot of people making a lot of that,
Yeah.
that horrific day. But
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out all day, toward the end of the day yesterday, I kept flipping through the television. I kept seeing Friday the 13th, part 1, part 2, part 3, I was like, why do they keep showing it? Then I finally realized it was Friday the 13th.
There was something I heard about or read or came across about the number 13. It's really not supposed to be that bad.
Some buildings don't even have a 13th floor. They only have
Yeah, you won't even
13th
see
floor.
13th exits and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
No, I've never been. I am superstitious because of my baseball days, but Friday the
Because of Stevie
13th.
Wonder too.
Stevie Wonder, why was that?
Superstition.
very
Superstition.
Well, first off, we have a great show lined up. First, want to welcome Brother Aaron back behind the glass. He had a nice trip. Him and his girlfriend went out to Cali for a few days. We got a couple weeks off. Welcome you back, Aaron, and all of our listeners. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Nice, I say cool day, somewhere in the upper 90s. A little rain last night. Isn't that something you say is a cool day? It was only like 95 or 100. A little rain in the air, so that's always good. Then wanted to wish, and I'll let you do the main ones, but we had a couple birthdays this week. Our good friend Dan LaGoria, he had a birthday on the 12th, which was 2 days ago. And then Mitch Cubed, Money Making Mitch, he had a birthday on the 11th. So that was 2 birthdays this week. Then you had a couple yourself just today, actually.
Yeah, so this is the birthday row week for me. So today is my wife Nika's birthday. She's 21 again. And then so Elijah, our youngest, he's 15. And then my dad's birthday was on the 12th. So happy birthday to my father as well. So,
happy birthday, everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Great, like I said, great show lined up. We got some football. It's not real football yet, but we got some football to talk about. Preseason football with the Cardinals. We got some other great topics to talk about. And 11:30, special guest, Deborah Dubree. She's one of my favorites. She's going to come on to talk about we've had some instances with some of our athletes dealing with mental health and, Naomi Osaka withdrawing from a couple tennis matches. And then we had Simone Biles dealing with her issues during the Olympics. And just thought it'd be a great time to have Deborah on to talk about what is going on with some of our athletes, maybe some of the triggers, some of the things they're dealing with.
Yep.
And I have a couple questions myself. What has changed over? I am a former professional athlete, so I've dealt with what I would call stress at high levels.
Yep.
And different ways to deal with it today versus back in the day. Back in the day, it was like, well, get over it, suck it up. We got to push through it. Now we're dealing with some athletes who have honestly got to a point where they've had to step away. So we're going to talk to Deborah about that at 11:30. So really looking forward to that. If you want to get at us on the Easy Sports Talk hotline, you can call us at 602-260-1060. As I mentioned, Aaron is behind the glass. If you want to tweet at us at the Easy Sports Talk, at Ed Smith Speaks, and Javon Love, and that's Love with an LUV. So,
and then also don't forget, you can start to follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Easy Sports Talk Show. On Facebook, we're on Easy Sports Talk Show. That's Easy Sports Talk Show. And as you mentioned on Twitter, at the Easy Sports Talk.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Cardinals opened up preseason last night against the Cowboys. They get a victory. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But even going into the game, there was some news throughout the week. 4 more Cardinals landed on the COVID list. And this is after Andy Isabella was put on there on Wednesday. He actually had a positive test. We had 4 more guys on Thursday, and they were all ineligible to even play in the game, obviously. But it was running back James Conner, tight end Darrell Daniels, defensive tackle Niki Fotu, and we had a safety Charles Washington. So all 4 of those guys were basically it was the contact tracing, so they were ineligible to play in the game. And then I guess they have here's the thing. Vaccinated players are not required to miss time on COVID list with close contact, so that we can assume that those guys are not fully vaccinated yet. But I saw some numbers where we're creeping up. Like I think the Cardinals are up there, and they're like 90% now, at least getting the first shot.
Yeah.
So some of our players aren't fully vaccinated yet, but they're at least heading in the right direction. And 90% is a good number. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with those last 10%. But it's one of those things where we're going to have to deal with this all the way through the season, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
I think once we get guys fully vaccinated, it'll be less of an issue. But, we had some guys miss that game yesterday. And they didn't miss, in my opinion, they didn't miss much.
Okay.
You watched the game, or parts of it, you said.
Yeah.
And I did kind of the same thing.
The first quarter, I think when we get back into the second segment, we'll kind of get into specific players. But that's the thing, man. It's that it's a dress rehearsal. We know one thing that was interesting. Somebody that we did see play.
Mm-hmm.
Most of starting quarterbacks have not played in these preseason games. Not all, but most. But even having said that, if you know that you have a quarterback, and I'm talking about Kyler Murray that didn't play at all yesterday, and we were having a discussion before the show, before we started today. Isn't this an opportunity for him, if nothing else, to get some snaps under center?
Yeah, and I asked you, are we there yet? Are we at a point where our young quarterback shouldn't be taking advantage of every opportunity, even in a preseason game? We all know he wasn't going to go out there and play a whole game.
Right.
But my thing is, we got so much to work on, in my opinion. And it's even just the prep, the routine. You remember this, Jay? We didn't have a preseason last year. There were no preseason games.
Right.
So you went a whole year without preseason games. So 2019 was the last time you had this prep time, right? And then you throw in the fact that we're cutting one of those games off of the schedule. So we only have 3 to prepare now for a season. So we're going to roll into it. Is our quarterback at a place where, he had a good week of practice, we're going to just let him kind of rest and relax, I think mistakes are made. And this might be a situation where Kingsbury, maybe he's looking around the league and seeing where everybody else isn't playing theirs, right?
Right.
So, I got a franchise quarterback, so maybe I shouldn't play mine. In my opinion, this was an opportunity because, let me ask you, Sunday, do these games count?
They count. No, they don't count.
They don't count.
Preseason, no.
Preseason don't count for nothing. So that means you go out there and do whatever you go out there and do whatever you want. You could put Kyler Murray under center if he's going to play 10 snaps, every snap, and work on some of the – because here's the thing. I don't care how good a week you had in practice. You're finally playing against somebody in the other opposing color, right?
Right.
There's this called thud when you're playing against your own people. You can't touch them, you can't hit them.
Right.
The speed is so you can't even get near a quarterback. So you got guys who are going through their drills and everything. You get within 10 feet of a quarterback, and you're already putting the brakes on. So there is no threat out there, at least for anybody who's smart enough to know how to play the game, unless you want to, So in this situation, nothing counts. I'm not saying put him out there in harm's way, but at least get him under center so you can see some live action. And then the other thing I don't like is you're taking him out of the engagement of prepping. Everybody's out there getting ready, warm-ups, And then at one point I'm watching him, he's just off to the side, just hanging out with D-Hop, and they're just chit-chatting.
Interesting, because sometimes, and I've seen that, I saw that with Dak was on the sidelines as well, so Dak just started quarterback for the Cardinals, for the Cowboys didn't play either. But here, sometimes you'll see those quarterbacks, those veteran quarterbacks, maybe with the earpiece in.
Dak had the earpiece in.
Engaged.
Dressed not in his shoulder pads, but he did at least have his pants and his jersey on.
Right.
So I felt like he was more engaged with the team, and obviously you got a lot of guys you're not even going to be playing with. But for me, headset in, maybe following the game plan, getting things.
Maybe meandering over to the play caller and just trying to get an understanding of why
we're doing this, why we're doing that. Yeah. I would just like to have seen, even if you're not in the game, just be a little more engaged, right? And then, like I said, no better opportunity than to get him out there, even if it's just for a series or two, because we did have Colt McCoy out there, who actually Colt McCoy, he looks like a giant compared to Kyler. I'm watching him under center, and you're watching him under center, and I'm thinking these are valuable reps that Kyler could have gotten. And I just think we lost
the under center thing is the thing that you just want it. If you run these certain plays, even if they're just the most generic of plays, where it's just where you're just an under center and you're just hiking it and handing it off to the running back, or just doing a quick 3 or 4 step, 3 to 5 step, 7 step drop to be able to do what you need to do. You want to be able to see that. That way, it can help you again, as you were mentioning earlier, to be able to while this didn't count, this is where your mechanics were off. And I know you're still getting used to it, so that's why we're going to have you play 2 series. And all we're going to focus on is having you under center to be able to just get used to the cadence, that rhythm, that feel of it.
Recognizing the offense, because we've talked a few times about this. Right. Things look a whole lot different when you're under center, hands under your centers behind, looking and having to try to identify in place of 5, 6, 7, 8 yards off the ball. You're scoping everything out. And I just truly just believe that if we're going to have success this year, it's going to be kind of based on how well we run the ball to support the other side of the throwing game. Right. And we're going to get into the X's and O's a little bit here in this next segment. Not much to talk about because there was very generic game.
I think it'll be something to kind of further your point. So when we come back, I want to definitely get your thoughts on how our rookie and our young linebacker core kind of played, and just what you see, because that's the hardest thing. You've been in the locker room and you've been on these fields in preseason. How are you able to glean good and bad and try to?
It's even tougher when you're these mixed rosters, and So we're going to take a break here. We're going to come back. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into some of those X's and O's. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk. Be back after these messages, folks.
You can.
Clear.
Hey, Dan.
Have you downloaded the TVUS AM 1060 skill?
And welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this, I guess you call it overcast Saturday out here in Arizona, or wherever you might be. I know we got a lot of people checking us out on Facebook as well. This segment right here is brought to you by
Milano Music, family owned and operated for over 70 years, 75 plus years actually. Over 50,000 square foot showroom and repair facility, 18 instrument rental depots across the valley. Visit milanomusic.com. That's MILANO music.com, or call them at 480-827-1111.
I'm actually working on a couple spots to update for Milano Music. They, like you mentioned, it's over 75 years in business. They've got a lot of different things going on. This is actually a very important time of the year for them because they do the rentals for all the schools and everything. So I was talking to Mike through some emails, and he was up in Flagstaff last week working on some of the rentals, with some of the schools up there. So this is like big time for them. So I keep working. I'm gonna have either him or his dad on this show one of these days. They both of them are a little they're microphone shy, so they won't, they can't get over. I'm gonna get one of them on though.
Right.
We'll definitely get one of them on. So last night we had the first preseason game of the year here. Cardinals, Cowboys. What we get away with a 19-16 victory. I guess all wins are good wins, better than losing, but it doesn't count for much. We'll put this one away and move on to the next. As far as the offense, you and I were talking, and I saw an interesting article, and it's almost like an oxymoron from Kingsbury. Okay. And in the article, he talked about, we're not going to hide the offense, but we're not going to show a whole bunch. Right. That's like an oxymoron. I mean, as I said, I'm on a diet, but can I have 2 pieces of cake? It's totally.
Or could it be like? Could it be this? That we're going to be. Let's say we're going to be up tempo. We're going to show you some of the things that we're going to do. You might see some of the formations, but we're not going to show you our entire playbook.
I guess.
You know what I mean?
I guess.
Son?
Well, for me, it's got to be. I'm not saying it has to be one or the other, but if you're not going to hide anything, then just get out there and let's go. And I know it was tough yesterday because we don't have your starting quarterback. You don't have your wide receivers out there. I mean, AJ Green and Hop, they're both sitting on the sideline. It's hard to, I guess, evaluate. But for me, I saw a lot of the same of what I saw last year in terms of our running game. What scares me, I'm going to go into the season talking about this, and I hope they change my mind further as we get into it. But I'm really concerned about this, everything out of shotgun, the pistol. We're going to be read option everything. It's going to stunt our growth, and then we're going to start relying on the pass too much. We're going to totally abandon the running game. That's just my fear.
That is definitely, and I'm curious to see what is it? What Kugler will be able to bring, because it's supposed to be more of his emphasis on the run game. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, because it's when you're trying to develop new behaviors and habits, it's easy to fall back on what you're used to.
Oh yeah,
you have to push yourself through to run the ball more in this example, to be able to try to be more balanced, or to try to be at times more traditional in the sense of, again, lining up under center to give your running backs a little bit more of an opportunity to hit those holes and go a little bit north and south. But I guess we'll see.
And you bring up a great point, because it is so easy to fall back into the old habits. Mm-hmm. And especially once if you're not working on it intensely at this time to almost change your mindset and your habits, the second you get into the regular season where everything now all of a sudden everything starts counting, you haven't emphasized it enough for me for it to be like a priority. Now it's like, well, let's get to what we know. Let's do what we do.
All I know is when I could those times where I would go to the playground and try to get up. Okay, I'm gonna work with my left. I'm getting to a pickup game. I'm going back to my right. That's all I'm doing because they're pressuring me, and so you fall back on what you're used to. And the same thing can be said for coaches, whether offensive, defensive, just head coaches, in terms of, yes, I'm going to be more. Even if they go and say I'm going to be more aggressive in terms of maybe go for it on fourth down. Sometimes that first 4th and 2 comes and they say punt, because that's what you're trying to fight, your tendencies and your behaviors. I wanted to ask you though. Especially I watched the first quarter. In looking at on the defensive side of the ball with the linebackers and the linebackers with Simmons and with Collins.
Yeah.
Did you see anything that at least again it's preseason, so you always have to have that caveat and that asterisk, but I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, I think I was surprised. Collins has a voice out there. Remember we talked about he was going to be maybe making some calls and doing some different things.
Right.
He was actually out there being verbal. I saw him trying to get the calls in and stuff like that. And then I'll tell you what I did like from him was his aggressiveness. He seemed like he was moving downhill a lot.
One he came.
He had a play in the back.
Down
Yeah.
And he came in and opened and got that open field. That tackle in the back.
And I know right now everything's really simple because you're not seeing a whole lot even from the opposing offense. And right now you're all out there playing. Basically, it's really simple. Let's just say that much. It's not a whole lot.
But read and react is still read and react.
Read and react is still read and react.
There's still some value in that, right?
Absolutely. And I actually like the fact that he was kind of moving. Looked like he was out there on pace with everything else. I didn't hear or see Simmons' name enough other than the fact that we're talking about how, he's picked from the previous year and, this is going to be a dynamic duo. And that'll remain to be seen. I didn't really hear Simmons' name a whole lot. I'm still trying to find him out there. When you've kind of made it when you popping on the screen. When I don't have to look for you like finding Waldo. When right now, wherever Buda Baker is on the field on the regular season, you know where Buda Baker is.
Gotcha.
It's like boom, he's like there he is right there. Right now with Simmons, I'm still trying to find him. I at least heard Collins' name a couple times, which was encouraging. And here's you only have these 3 games now. I keep emphasizing that it's going to be really important over these next 2 games to see how fast they bring this young group along as far as those 2 and how you implement them. Because after the 3rd preseason game, bro, it's all lights, cameras, and action. Everything's on.
Along those same lines, we had some people on the front of the defensive line because of those COVID protocols, because of some of that contact and all that were out. So some inconsistency in terms of some inconsistency there, because you're used to, if you've been practicing with a certain group ahead of you, and you're expecting certain things, then that can lead to maybe some things that prevent you from reaching your full potential.
Let's be perfectly honest. The group that they had out there to start the game,
right,
especially on the defensive side of the ball,
right.
There was no Watt, there was no Jones, no Buda Baker. This was literally the backups.
I want your thoughts on the offensive line, but you mentioned something. You mentioned your playing partner, Watt. So while we're not concerned about Kyler not being out there because of some injury or something, we just want him to get more reps just to get the feel of things.
Mm-hmm.
Does Watt not being out there, because you said something in previous episodes of the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast, where if you can't lead from the sidelines, you can't lead from the tub, you can't lead. So does that worry you at all, or is that it's just again it's preseason, so don't worry about it until maybe the 3rd?
For me, the fact that he is not playing the preseason game, he's also not practicing right now too. That that's the part to be like.
Practice is overrated, right?
I made my living in practice.
Yeah,
I just think at some point some of these guys, and we'll figure it out as we move through this because it's going to happen fast. What is it, August 14th?
2 minutes.
Bro, we're getting close to the real thing being seen, and there's got to be a little more activity from some of these dudes now. I want to talk, and we can spill this into the next segment. Mm-hmm. On the flip side,
offensive line, right?
Well, let's save that for next part, next segment.
Okay.
Because I want to talk to you real quick about Rondell Moore. Rondell, bro, he was.
He got a cigarette in his mouth. Rondell.
But now, get this one. Yeah. I was thinking of an analogy. The other day, me and Quentin, I picked him up from school. We were coming home, and I saw blue BMW, and it was all these cars on Bell Road, right? And this one car. I was like, damn, that is nice. It stood out that much, right?
Okay.
So I'm looking at Rondell in a game yesterday when I'm like interested to the 0 degree.
Okay.
I was interested watching that young man play.
Okay.
His tempo, his speed, his quickness, stuff like that. Okay. I got a little more excited after watching him. Okay. And it's a preseason game. Just they had 3 catches, they had a couple runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It looks like they're trying to incorporate him.
Right.
I was actually like, oh, wait a minute. That looks pretty.
I thought you was about to just say,
No.
and it was a
Regular old cracker.
a Pinto or something.
No, I actually was impressed with his tempo and how he was playing. I was actually impressed he was in the game as long as he was too. They kept him out there trying to get his feel. But all the players
trying to get him acclimated to stuff. That's interesting.
a little work in.
That's an interesting way to approach it.
The rough part though is you're playing with your backup quarterback. You're not even getting any timing or work with your dude. To a certain degree.
And I think I saw that one time where it was in the first quarter where there was a pass that was sent to him, and Colt McCoy he was just a little too early.
10 seconds.
That might have been one of those times.
Coming back after this, we'll talk offensive line. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk. Be back, folks.
You can.
And what you got on the offensive line? Because it did. Sports Talk Show. Having some fun on this Saturday out here in Arizona. Appreciate you hanging out with us wherever you may be. Checking us out on Facebook, watching it or listening to us on KDUS 1060 AM or KSLX HD channel 21.7. We appreciate you. This segment right here is brought to you by
Hope Artisan Beverage Company, one of the first to launch nitrogen-infused coffee. They offer everything from specialty coffees and a botanical infusion line of caffeine and sugar-free brewed beverages. Call Colt Coffee at 623-434-0939 or visit ColtCoffeeRoaster.com. untitled.com for more information. And also, don't forget, we're live. We're trying to get the technology down. So, of course, we're live on Ed's live stream, but also we are on our Facebook page as well. Easy Sports Talk Show live up on YouTube as well. So YouTube is Easy Sports Talk Show, and again, Facebook is Easy Sports Talk Show. We're on Twitter at the Easy Sports Talk. So we live doing it, the graphics and all that stuff. Shout out to Mark Twain, man.
Indeed. So you have some questions about the offensive line, and we talked a little bit during the break. But what concerned you? What got you?
So if I'm a runner,
Yes.
and I'm having these issues, and maybe I'm just confessing right now, but I'm having these issues with trying to run for longer distances, and so I go out and I start to I get maybe a supplement, right? I get a supplement that's supposed to help me maybe with the endurance part of things, and I take that supplement for, let's say, 30 days, and they say give it a little bit of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after 30 days, I'm still having the same issues. Was it really this? Was it the supplement that was supposed to help? And what happened here? So what I'm saying is, we're bringing in Hudson, making that trade for Hudson, being able to get him in for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And so he's supposed to be that guy, that anchor, that center is the quarterback of the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the leader of that offensive line. And so to be able to prevent some of those false starts and to be able to make sure that we're all on the same page and making the necessary checks and adjustments. But at least in the first half, there were still some of those false starts. There still just seemed to be some of that miscommunication. And as far as I know, that line has been practicing consistently together. So does that bother you? Is it anything to be concerned about at this point, after preseason game one?
Well, what concerns me is we have less time to prepare now because there's only going to be 3 games. I know I keep bringing it up. And that 4th game is really important. The other thing is, they've cut down the amount of practice time that these guys can have in pads and actually go through some of these drills and different things.
Yeah, because walking and just putting my hand on your shoulder. Okay, and then
the intensity
I'm supposed to walk you back.
The intensity is ratcheted up so much more when because like I said, it's one thing to play against your own dudes. I know they wear different colors, offense, defense, when you're playing and doing practice. But now you're against a team that has a different logo on their helmet.
Right.
And now you got fans. Think about this too, Jake. We went a whole season without people in the stands.
Yeah.
So now and I'm not saying guys are nervous, but now you're back in front of a crowd.
Right.
You're playing against another team with a different logo on their helmet. Things speed up. Now, here's the crazy part, Jay. You think it's because some of these guys are getting their first taste. It's sped up a little bit, obviously, because it's now preseason game or anything. Yeah. Man, it's going to ratchet up so much more once the regular season starts. And some of these guys are not going to be – we talked about last year for some of the rookies, no mini camps or training, anything like that during the offseason, no preseason games. Mm-hmm. Then you get to a regular season, right? You just got drafted in this previous spring. You're going out there, and I equated it to on a treadmill already going at 8 miles, 8.2, right? And uphill. That's what you do. Yeah, but I see I gradually, I get on there and I gradually right now, I can't even, I get on there and I just start to gradually walk and then you build up to that speed, right? Up to 4.5. 4.5. But you're going to, what's happening is, and which I think obviously is the first preseason game is going to be a little sloppy. So we did see some offside penalties. We saw some different things. My worry is, are we going to have enough time to put the hard work in to make those things go away? And in my opinion, I'm not quite sure because of the workload, and then everybody's getting days off. We're not going to practice everybody. So, and that's going to come. I'm serious. It's going to come to play.
I mean, it's funny because how that works. It's the teacher when you're in algebra 2 or something. They say, all right, so you guys want to do any practicing? No, we're good. Teach.
We got it.
All right, next day. Hey, I'm gonna let you guys choose. You guys want to do any practicing? No, I think we're good. And then Friday the test comes and everybody fails.
Everybody fails.
That's what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted not to practice. So it's one of those things where you collectively bargain that out of what's going on because you're trying to save yourself physically. But can't that also end up hurting you financially because you're not performing at your best if you're not able to practice full speed to therefore be ready for this full speed of to be better prepared for the full speed, the ratcheted up full speed of the game.
The good thing is it's a league-wide problem. It's not just a Cardinals problem.
Right,
because every team, in my opinion, the first 4 weeks of the regular season are going to be like everybody prepping.
Mm-hmm.
And, some teams will be ahead of the game because somebody like a Belichick, he's going to figure out how to get these dudes up to speed. He's just the master of it. Then you got coaches like Kingsbury who are still trying to figure it out, how to get the message across and also get the work in, but also toe that line of what you can and can't do. Some teams, there's a small portion of teams are going to be ahead of the game. The majority of teams are going to be in that boat where the first couple to 3 or 4 weeks of the season are going to be as sloppy as you can imagine because it's going to dial up to regular season speed, and nobody is even remotely prepared at this point, including our offensive lines and a lot of different things.
You bring up something I want to mention about Kingsbury, but so if we're looking at the offensive line, are there any of these players that, in terms of what the projected starters will be, that concern you? So we have left tackle DJ Humphries. Stop me whenever something concerns you. Left guard Justin Pugh. Obviously the center Rodney Hudson. The right guard Justin Murray, and then the right tackle Kelvin Beachum.
I mean, names sound good on paper.
Right.
Once we get to the regular season, obviously what concerns me a lot, Jay, is the style of play.
So here we go.
Go ahead.
This is what I wanted to bring up. So we know that couldn't we say that this is technically Kingsbury's second training camp?
Yeah.
Why? Because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Because when coming in, he had that first training camp, and he was acting more like an offensive coordinator that just had the label of coach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then going into last season, he's just trying to do with COVID. What am I supposed to do? How am I can't do this. We can't do all these things are virtual. And so then whatever jump you were going to make in terms of your skill set as a coach was stunted, because you had to make all of these different adjustments, not the adjustments that everybody had to deal with, but you're coming into your second season.
And they're still dealing with it today.
Right.
Obviously, with everything going on with COVID right now.
And so now, this being his third season as a coach, but now this is his second preseason, and dealing with the preseason games and all these things where he didn't have that last year. But you wonder what he's been able to glean. Is he reaching out to his counterparts, or how much he's leaning on his coaches and being able to not just say, hey, so where do you think I should go to eat tonight? Well, I think you should go to blah, blah, blah restaurant. You say you like French cuisine, that's where you should go. Next day, so where'd you go? I went to McDonald's. You asked me where to go, and I told you where to go. You're not listening to me based upon what the information you're giving me. I'm trying things back as well.
This is yet another example of what a head coach is responsible for. He's responsible for everything, including who he's playing on the preseason, what we're using our practice time for, what we're emphasizing on, and it's just not the offensive side of the ball. So and let me ask you this question. Since we jumped on the Kingsbury here, do you think this is a hot season for him? Do you think this is if you're not careful, you could be in jeopardy or trouble of losing your job?
For better or for worse, I think so.
You think so?
I think so, because the best answer is it depends, but I think so, because if they get, let's say, close to getting into the playoffs again but fall short, then I think that the argument would be, if we had a better coach, that maybe he would have been able to scheme or plan or do something to be that difference between not making the playoffs and getting into the playoffs.
I'm kind of torn with this one, because he's only been on the job with this third year, right? Third year.
The question would be how valuable. How many wins can a good coach impact? How many wins can a great coach impact? How many wins can a mediocre coach lose? Once
again, I look at sometimes it's not the W's and the L's, it's how you're performing in those W's and L's. Right. If you're out there and you're very confident, because you got to remember this is going to be probably the toughest division in the league. So if we're out there and we're competing, but we're just falling short, with these dudes. Remember a few years ago, we were like, do these dudes even want to be out there? This is prior to him getting here.
Fight for my brother too.
Yeah, but it was they were not just losing; they were losing pathetically, and it was like, oh, that was hard to watch.
Yeah.
for Kingsbury, I think he's right on that line of we're going to be watching not just the W's and the L's, but how they get it curl just quite right.
Yeah.
And it could be here's the thing. If you're in a bad relationship, right? You got two options.
How long have we been together?
Well, I didn't want to tell you guys, but after the show, we're going to have to talk. But no, if you're in a bad relationship, maybe you know it and the other party doesn't know it, right?
Right.
How long do you continue on knowing that's probably as good as it's going to get? Yeah. So for me, it's going to be it's going to be eye-opening how we're winning these games, how we're losing these games, even some of the feedback from the fans, what it looks like, and we get to a point, it's like, man, they are flying around out there. They at least look good. But if they're not, this could be, like you said, one of those situations where, maybe this is the best you can do.
Sometimes you have fans that are haters, and because you could be winning and they still hate. And I put myself in that category. Because I told you, how many times have you heard me with the Lakers? We just won the championship. I'm saying, bro, I'm going to take you apart the team. It sucks, man. But we just won a championship, man. I know, man. But I want my talent. I want my youth. You just want a ring, but you don't understand how it goes in the streets, dog. So you have some of that. That's going to be interesting. I think you make a valid point.
Yeah, we'll see, because I don't want to. I mean, there's no need to be calling for his head right now. But if it doesn't, if they go out there and they pee in the wind and get their pants all wet, then this, only 3 in. We've seen dudes get fired after 1 year here. Yeah. So we have.
So to your point, and I know we got to take a break. It's that I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna start exercising. You exercise Monday, good. Exercise Tuesday. You don't. Then you eat poorly for 2 or 3 days, and you throw it out the window. That could be. We just hope he doesn't revert back to old tendencies and tries to grow.
Going to take this break. Appreciate you, Easy Sports Talk, KDUS 1060 AM, as well as KSLX HD Channel 1.7 and Facebook. Be back after these messages, folks.
You can.
Clear.
in the beginning. And welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us this Saturday morning here in Arizona or wherever you might be. This segment right here is brought to you by
Majestic Services. Contact Majestic Services to do all the dirty work around your home or business. Majestic Services will pressure wash your driveways, awnings, pool decks, sidewalks, garages, and more. Call Majestic Services at 602-614-9401. Again, that's 602-614-9401. Or go to majesticservices.net for your free no-obligation quote today. Don't forget to catch us on our YouTube channel, Easy Sports Talk Show. Facebook page is Easy Sports Talk Show. And, of course, Twitter is at The Easy Sports Talk.
And if you want to get at us on the Easy Sports Talk hotline, give us a call, 602-260-1060, Aaron's behind the glass. And, right before we came back from break, we were talking about we're going to have to pull the schedule out and get our predictions put together for the season. And, you and I took a little bit of a beating at the beginning of last year. We came with some honesty and some truth.
Like my grandmother, when she used to tell me to get that switch.
We did. I mean, at one point, Cardinals 6-3, and everybody's just beating on us because, we had the Cardinals pegged right around 7-9.
Yeah.
Both of us. And we thought that would be from a 5-11 season of the year before, that would be a nice jump, And boy, we were taking it on the chin, bro.
Especially when we got to the midway point.
Oh, goodness.
We were hoping that we would end up being
we ended up right on. We both predicted 7-9, end up 8-8. So
that's for me hanging out with you. You are. It comes soon, and we'll be doing the fan, not the sport, but the pick'ems with the neutral zone again. And just the way you break down when you share your gems, you're the perfect reason why people keep secrets close to themselves, because you shared that knowledge. And then the next season,
Sean beat you.
And then I beat, of course, with the help of my youngest son Elijah, but we won't talk about that.
Got my own formula used against me. And then what happens is I start trying to outfool myself. And I'm like, why did I pick that game? I'm a doggone well, but I'm trying to make we'll get that back up. But we're going to make our picks, obviously, before the start of the regular season. And we'll see how right or wrong we are. I'm going to take a good look at that schedule and see what it looked like. I had some conversation on Wednesday. It was Wednesday we did the Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast.
You can find it at Easy Sports Talk Show, easysportstalk.com. I'm an idiot. easysportstalk.com. Go to believe.com, BLEAV.com, and then type in Arizona Cardinals, and you'll find it.
And we had a couple conversational pieces. You had some questions. What was the one that stood out to you the most in terms of as we're dealing with training camp? But by the end of the segment, I'm going to give some of these important dates out too to let everybody know what's ahead for the Cardinals. But
yeah, the biggest thing I was just concerned, because I know you've been that guy on the roster with trying to make sure that you're solidifying your spot, because you don't walk in with, hey, you're going to make this roster. So what does training camp mean to somebody that's towards the bottom half of the roster? What are the types of things that you try to do in order to win your spot, to be able to make those positive impressions on a coach, and how one fewer preseason game impacts that?
Yeah, what's really important is the offseason, and we're going way back even before the preseason and camp starts. You, as a free agent guy like myself, or a guy who drafted,
what you're about to say was interesting to me. Go ahead.
You want to make sure you show your face at that facility as much as humanly possible. If there's a workout, if there's the offseason schedule, you look at it. You want to make sure every day, like if you're in there lifting weights, you're not gonna run to your position coach's office, but you want to make sure
what's up, coach?
You want to be there early. You want to be there often. You want to make sure he sees you working.
What are you, Morris Day, passing by Prince's room?
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. You want to make now. Some dudes took it to the extreme. Like, I'm gonna take Coach a cup of coffee real quick. I'm like, man, you'll get your behind. But no, you definitely want to make it known.
He likes sprinkles.
Yeah. You want to make it known that you're there working, and not fake work. Because they just showing up. They ain't gonna do it. The fake work is You're out there getting your work in on the jugs, guns. You're doing your different things. Then once training camp, Now, because there's so little hitting, you got to take those opportunities when you can hit.
Right.
Keep everything legit, like, no cheap shots or anything like that. But you got to be going blank to the wall.
Now, I remember, if you could kind of refresh the story before we get into kind of the cuts and the schedules and things, but how when you realized you had to be a little bit tougher in terms of not trying to, hey, how you doing? But that moment that it happened to you. Can you share that story?
It actually happened to me. I was over in Europe
playing,
and I was a former baseball player, now playing football, and I was like, want to shake dudes' hands after, hey, it's a good hit, all that kind of stuff. Not to agree, but I was still in that mentality where I wasn't out there trying to hurt anybody. I was, so I was out, we were playing the ball, and I was in Frankfurt. I ran a route, looked over my shoulder, saw my quarterback start to scramble. When I turned back to complete my route, all I saw was this green helmet under my chin. Dude took a cheap shot at me, knocked me so far off my feet. My feet were above my head and everything, and I went crash landing down. And when I tell you, Jay, I saw the Tweety birds and everything. So I'm on all fours, and I'm just thinking, oh, my God, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I literally tried to stand up, and I'm wobbling. And at that point, I thought, it was like almost like the Incredible Hulk. Remember, don't make me angry.
Yeah.
You won't like me when I get angry. I was so mad at that particular instance. And I remember standing up. If you'd asked me my name, I couldn't tell you what my name was. I didn't know what day it was. I didn't know where I was. But I made up my mind. I saw the huddle formulating back where I was coming. So I made my way back to the huddle. And I probably weaved the whole way back to it. And I get back to the huddle just in time to hear the play. And I knew it was a running play away from us. Bro, I went up to the line of scrimmage, still so wobbly, put my hand on the ground, and all I knew was I'm trying to cut this dude in front of me because the play's going away. Snapping the ball, I just laid on the ground. Dude just stepped over me to play. We didn't make the first down, so then I got off the sideline. I'm sitting on the sideline trying to get the cobwebs out. And I realized at that moment where I was, and I was just like, you know what? Somebody's going to pay for what that dude did to me.
That was the change. That was the change. I remember wasn't going to do anything dirty. Just so happened later in that game, we ran a play. I'm on the right side, ran a route. Quarterback scrambles. He throws a dump out to our line or running back out of the backfield. So he's trying to make that cut to get around the right side. I circled back. I made a circle going to the sideline. I'm coming, and there was a dude that just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, bro. It was almost like the train was coming and the car was trying to get across the track, and the car didn't make it, bro. Because I took a shot, and it was totally clean. Got my head across. His front wiped him out. My whole side went crazy because it was on our sideline. Yeah.
That was the moment I realized when I'm out here on this football field, I got no friends except for dudes wearing my color.
Right.
If you're wearing another color, it's hit or be hit, and I'm not the one that's going to be taking those anymore. And that was one of those things, man, where if that never happened to me, I don't know if I could have made it in the NFL. I don't know if I would have ever had the right mentality, or I might have got my one shot. I might not have been ready. But that one hit over there in Barcelona totally changed my entire personality. The second I stepped on the field, a football field after that, it was always I had to go to that dark place.
Yeah, do you think that when it comes time for those, for example, as we get to the cuts, when we go to 85 to 80 to 53, that some of these players get cut because they have that moment, but they don't make the quote unquote right decision that will help them to be able to take advantage of the next one.
It's all about when the opportunity arises, because you don't know when it's going to happen, Jay. It could be for a wide receiver, it could be a great catch. Right. It could be a great block. For a lineman, it could be coming off and peeling when nobody else knew the blitz was coming. You peel off and you pick it up. But it's that one play that you might get an opportunity to show the coaches. It's that wow moment. You remember the first time you saw Nika, and you're like, and it was something happened where it was like, wow. And that's what it is. It's the wow moment. You're trying to make them look at you and go, wow. You don't know when the moment's going to be or what it's going to be, but you have to be ready for it. And what's bad nowadays is some of these young, they don't have a lot of time to do it. You might, your chances are reduced, let's call it. So
Tuesday, what's the first?
What we'll do, we'll take this break, and when we come back, we'll just start next segment with giving those important dates. So we spent the whole first hour talking football. We'll just wrap it up with, because I was going to give the dates of the cuts that are coming up.
Football season, man.
Yeah, it's football season. So, matter of fact, we're gonna get to a point. We're gonna be talking college football. We're gonna be talking NFL. We're gonna
State.
Yep. Hey, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7 and Facebook. We'll take this break, come back, talk a little more football to wrap things up, and get some baseball talk.
10.
Real for sizzle.
Yeah, you don't feel the
Yeah, nah, we'll be back after these messages, folks.
Are you okay?
Clear.
That's one of those ones you gotta let play right there. Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Hope you're enjoying your start to your weekend. That's what music was. Music right there, bro. No synthesizers and all that crazy stuff.
Hey, ease up on
Boy.
synthesizer, dog. But I feel you. But seriously, though, when you listen to some of that, some of the Stevie used a lot of synthesizers too. But
Oh, yeah.
it's just the feel of it, the writing.
But nowadays you can take me into a studio, and make me into a. As long as you had the right equipment, and then you can make me sound good.
Yeah, you
You
could.
know.
Yeah.
Back then, if you didn't have the voice, now I'll tell you real quick. So the very first time, 'cause I used to love, it was the early '90s, Bell Biv DeVoe. Man, the first time I went to one of my first concerts ever, I went to Bell Biv DeVoe. It was covered.
I bet I know what's coming.
Bruh, I was just like, they're just up there screaming. I was just like, this don't sound like the CD. It don't sound like the tape.
I've seen them live. I've seen New Edition.
Oh, goodness.
So, of course, because you had Rob Tresvant and Johnny Gill there, they helped.
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, it sounded like me going up there singing, "It's driving me out of my mind."
I was like, I paid good money for this. What is going on
You
here?
paid the dance.
Well, I guess so, yeah.
You paid the dance, not the
But they always have great new videos and stuff like that because you could go ahead and,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Before we jump out of football talk, just wanted to throw some dates out there for you. We were talking a lot about training camp and everything. And the process, man, is in full swing because right now we're sitting here at August 14th. Let's throw some dates out here. Right now, every team can be at 90 players. And some of them may be at 88, 89, whatever it is. But right now, the max is 90 players. Come Tuesday, which is the 17th, they have to make a cut down to 85. So you got 5 guys that come this Tuesday on each team. Probably will get and most of them know who you are. You're probably so far back on the roster. You are undrafted.
You know, there's gonna be that one who say, "Oh man, just let me play, dog."
Exactly. So that's this week on Tuesday. Cut to 85. Then next week they cut to 80 on the 24th. So Tuesday to Tuesday. So you're gonna go from 85 down to 80 by the 24th.
Right.
Then the Behemoth comes, bro.
This is what I want to get your thoughts.
August 31st by 4 p.m. Everybody has to be down to the 53-man roster. So that means. So let me read this little thing. Each of the 2 pre-final cut deadlines will see roughly 160 players released. So that's between this Tuesday, next Tuesday, 160 players. The final cut down, and they use this word in the final cut down will purge 864 players from the active roster. So almost 1,000 dudes come that final cut. Your dreams are going to be dashed at least for a minute. Cut.
But you have some of those players that will make the practice squad. The practice squad can make as much money. I mean, they make decent
good money. Yeah,
more than a salesperson.
Yeah. I don't know what it is now. I'll have to look that up. But each team, now get this. When I played, it was only 5 practice squad players on each team. So it was 5. My first year, I made it into the league as a practice squad guy with the Washington football team. Called myself. Guy was good right there. I caught myself. With the Washington football team, I was on the practice squad. Right. There was only 5 of us, which means sometimes we had to do double duty. We had to do double. Bad. I played on the defense sometimes, bro. I gave a defensive look sometimes because we were so short and bodies, during the end of the season.
Gotcha. That makes much more sense.
Each team now is allowed 16 practice squad players.
That's what I thought it was, but I get you now.
Yeah, so 16 dudes will be on the practice squad. A lot of dudes are going to make some decent money. You're talking 100 plus, being a practice squad dude.
I want to hear about. So you've been on that final day. I heard they used to call the guy the Turk that would come with that cut to kind of come and get you.
The Grim Reaper, bro.
Grim Reaper, whatever.
Everybody had a different name for him, yeah.
But when you have that, were you ever with that final cut ever worried? Hey, it's going to be. Have you ever had somebody who thought that they made it?
Oh God,
and then you find out the next day.
Well, yeah,
I can't hear no more,
bro, all the time.
Really?
And then there was always some surprises because you got to remember, talent sometimes is the first reason you get cut. Sometimes money. Remember, because sometimes some of these dudes are making a little too much money, and maybe a little older, and it can happen different ways. And that's your talent. Sometimes they'll keep a cheaper dude because we can fit him into the salary cap, and he can do just as much as you. Plus, he'll play special teams. You make too much money.
What if it's all right? So we planning on keeping Javon, but oh man, it just became available. He just got cut.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, sorry about that,
from other teams, yeah.
You
got to remember when it hits the wire, it hits the wire. So every team gets a list of who, and you got dudes that played for this dude in college. He was his offensive coordinator here. But so when the cuts happen, they don't just happen on your team. Because now they're going through the seats, looking at every team roster, and I'll tell you what happened to me one year.
Yeah,
we'll talk about this another time.
Please.
Oh, okay. When I was in Philly, Chad Lewis was in Green Bay, but he played for Andy Reid in Utah or wherever he had coached. So when Chad Lewis got cut from Green Bay, I got released on a Wednesday after practice. We came in. We were four. Me, Luke DeBroughton, Chad. Who was a rookie? Jed Weaver. Three of us sitting in our tight ends room. Tight end coach. Also, we all look over our shoulder. Ed, coach wants to see you and wants you to bring your playbook. We all looked at each other like, huh? That's gonna happen on Wednesday. So I went and you'll read, and that's why I had my little thing with Reed. But he explained to me, I had a player come available, and I could. They let me go on Wednesday. The good thing, they still had to pay my money. So I left the team that week. Still got paid on Sunday or Monday the following Monday because they cut me after Monday or two, whatever it was. But it's a business, bro. It works like that. It is a business. So a lot of these kids, and I say kids, a lot of these young men, come the 31st, it is a mad scramble because let's talk about the process, how different teams do it too.
Right.
When I was with the Falcons, for instance, we stayed at the Falcon Inn. We used to go down the hill to our facility, right? Mm-hmm. Things are different now. They have these nice hotel rooms and all that. But back in the day, on cut day, you always knew you had to make it past the door. We would have somebody at the door, and you'd come in and grab you by the shoulder. Hey, come here. And you might be walking food in hand with one of the other teammates. Hey, come here real quick. And you knew, hey, coach wants to see you. Meaning you start by going to see your position coach first. Yeah. And then he'd send you to coach. So they would give you the reason why. You know, man, you put up a heck of a fight this camp, but just came down to numbers. We're only keeping 4 tight ends. But so, and I was also in organizations where they would send somebody to your room. So, like you were told by this time, after 7 p.m., you're free to go do whatever you want to do that evening. Up until 6:59, stay in your room, and you knock on the door. And you could have a roommate at that time. You didn't know who they were coming to get. You both look at each other. And let me give you my favorite story. When I was in the World League, I had a roommate. We both got in there late. Yeah. And, so I'm trying to make this team so I can just even start my career. Ali, he was a kicker on our team. So we were told that night, this is final cuts. Next day, we were going to be getting ready to jump on a plane and go over to Germany, right? And we were told, stay in your rooms. If you don't get a call by 7 o'clock, you're free to go, enjoy the rest of the evening, but do not be out of your room before 7. So me and Ali were sitting there, and we were talking, and we're looking, and both of us looking, and it's like 6:55, and we're like, I think we made it. 6:56, 6:58, 6:59, our phone rings.
Oh, my God.
And both our hearts stopped. And I was like, so I grabbed the phone. This is an honest God story. I'm not lying. Grabbed the phone. I was like, hello? Oh, yeah, Ed. I said, yeah. Hey, he was like, is Ali in the room? I said, yeah. He said, can I speak to him? I was like, Ali, it's for you. I gave him the phone. And he's like, hey, Ali, come to the, bring your playbook. He hung the phone up. I was like, I made it. I waited.
Two ends, opposite ends of the spectrum, man.
That phone, I sat there and looked at the clock. I was like this. When that doggone thing hit 7 or whatever, man, I literally ran out of the room. I ran across the street. We were staying up in north. We were in Georgia. Yeah. I ran across the 2-lane highway to get to a Waffle House so I could make a call from the payphone to call my mom and let her know, mom and dad, let them know I made the team. Man. That's how but there's, like you said, there's the different ends of the spectrum. Man. And, like you mentioned, some guys, they just know they made the team. Yeah. And those are the dudes, like, when it happens, it's like, because they're the ones that are joking all the way through camp and, because they've been in the league a couple of years, and all of a sudden, for those guys, the dudes like me who knew we were already on the fence, when you got the call, it was like, man, I tried, and, I did what I could, But those dudes who thought they'd already made it, and it was, it hurt twice as much because it was so out of the blue. But I feel for a lot of these young men come over these next couple weeks because we all know they're bleeding, they're sweating, they're going through a whole lot. They put their entire lives in this. But unfortunately, let me find that number again. On the 31st, 864 players will be let go. And so the good thing is 16 per team will be invited back to be on practice squads and stuff like that. But man, because I got invited back to be on practice squad, but that first bit of news, I remember when I was brought in, hey, we're gonna let you go, but we want you back on our practice squad. It was still like, but you don't want me to go to, it's like I can go hang out with you, but I can't go on the dance with you. That type of thing. Right. So Yeah, we just blew through some baseball. We'll have to maybe hit that in this next segment. But yeah, those are all
Crazy.
good questions and stuff. And I appreciate you.
You gotta have the clock set right.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. And we're gonna take this break. We'll figure out what we're gonna talk about next. We got some good stuff. Maybe we'll do a little baseball when we come back. But I always appreciate when you ask me questions like that, and I get to share some of those stories. And I know you're asking because you're interested and so I appreciate that. Hey, we're gonna take this break. Hope you're having a great Saturday so far. I appreciate you hanging out. Easy and J on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM, as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7 and Facebook. We'll take this break. Remember, we have Deborah Dubree coming up at 11:30. You're not going to want to miss that. I hope you have a great weekend so far. Be back after these messages, folks.
Are you kidding?
Monday nights from 7 to 8.
I like that one. Good. Hey, this segment right here is brought to you by
KSRNAZ.com's Casual Sports Radio Network is your destination for the latest updates and in-depth coverage of your Arizona sports teams, including all things Arizona Cardinals for the Bird Gang fan base. Visit KSRNAZ.com for feature articles, great podcasts such as the repurposing of Easy Sports Talk Show, and of course, Believe in the Arizona Cardinals, and music programming such as Microphone Masters, Disposable Arts Radio Show, and more.
He said, you ain't even really got to be my girlfriend. I just want to get your name and number. Maybe we can hang out someday.
Just chill.
Hook up, just chill. Golly. That's good stuff.
You preach up there. It's speaking to it, right? Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me.
Hey, so we're gonna talk a little baseball. We're gonna lead into we got Deborah Dubree joining us next segment, and just had a couple interesting. And we don't want to ignore our Valley team. It's hard to but at the same time we don't want to dwell on negativity. And this is not a season to be going game by game analyzing what's wrong with the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is just one of those throwaway seasons. It's a bad season. It's been bad since April. I mean, well, I guess they were 14-12 or something.
There was one point where they were, man, and just the wheels just
fell off. They didn't fall off the whole. You drive and sometimes you see the shredded tire where it just looks like it exploded. So you got rubber all over the highway. Yeah. This has been one of those times. Not just one. They blew 2 tires at the same time. That was rare. You never see that, but yeah, they blew 2 tires, and it's been a long march. We're not even to September yet. They still got 45 games, I think, is left. And right now they're sitting at 37-80. You didn't hear me wrong. I said 37-80. And I was like doing the math, and I put this in. They're 1 game away from securing the best they can do is a 500 season. So if they lose 1 more game, but they end up winning the next 44, they would still only end up 81-81. So that is, oh my goodness, that is rough.
Right.
And, like I said, we'll see what happens after the season with Torey Lovullo. I think it was Jeremy who pointed out that his contract is up at the end of the year. It might be dead man walking. We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I wish the best for him.
They didn't fire him.
They just didn't bring him back. So, you need to. Everybody in that organization, though, I hope they have a bunch of windows or mirrors they have to walk by and look at and realize that it ain't just his. You need to be looking in the mirror and analyzing yourself too. Players included too. I mean, it's hard to do what the Diamondbacks have done, and it just doesn't start at the top. Right. It doesn't start at the bottom on the field, and it's not the manager. This is a collective doo-doo, right? Everybody pooped their pants all at the same time. Everybody walking around with the same stain.
What's funny is that when you pause there, sometimes when we have our comments that go out, I'm looking at did Ed go out?
I had to make sure I picked the proper turn. Aaron was sitting there with his finger on the button too, the dump button, like, oh my goodness. So we'll continue to hope for the best for the Diamondbacks as they move through the remainder of the season. There's some dudes I know they're looking at September 30th. We'll have to look and see what the last game is, but there's a lot of people, including fans, that can't wait for this one to be over. So we'll see what happens after. We'll continue to monitor it. In the meantime, there was some other stuff that went on in baseball. Baseball's kind of getting lost in the shuffle a little bit with basketball got extended. We had a great run here in Phoenix with our Suns.
Right.
You had the Olympics. The football is now starting, so attention has been just diverted continuously. Right now, I couldn't tell you, other than our race out here because it's our division.
Yeah.
You think, okay, what's going on in the AL West or the AL East right now? I don't know. I think Toronto or something. I don't know. It's just we're not. Baseball's getting lost, but they did try to strike back on. What day was it? Thursday. They had that Field of Dreams game and the cornfields in Iowa, and it turned out to be a really good game. Walk off. White Sox win 9-8 over the Yankees, walk-off style. So they had some incredible ratings and stuff like that.
The ratings were impressive. It kind of a one-off because if they had a whole series of it, the ratings would have been the same way. But the novelty of it and the tie into the movie, of course.
I thought it was. Now I don't know if I saw nothing but the highlights, but I did go because I wanted to see how the field and everything was set up. But the next day, like they showed on ESPN, they showed Kevin Costner walking out of the corn, and then they had the players. I was like, how cheesy can you be? I just thought that was like a little over the top in terms of cheese fest. In terms of, come on.
Yeah, maybe they should have an NBA game at the record.
I guess so. But it got me to thinking, best baseball movie ever. And I wrote a list down here, and I'm going to give the list out, and I'm going to get Aaron first, then you. And if there's a movie that I missed, you can say, hey, you forgot about this one. But let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to give you my list here. The Sandlot, Field of Dreams, Moneyball, The Natural, Major League, Bad News Bears, and Bull Durham. And in no particular order, did I miss any, Aaron, or is there one of those on that list that you're like, yeah, that's the best baseball movie ever made?
No, I don't think you missed anything. I don't think a good recent movie that came out recently was 42 by Jack Robinson.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, I missed that one.
I swear, some of those
You got
movies,
The Natural on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, The Natural's on there.
Yeah.
Some of those movies, maybe because I'm just so it angers me. Some of the movies, like a 42, for example, where I just see all the stuff that he had to go through to get to the field and be able to be successful, all the hate, and I'm just thinking, I think I like Judge Judy. but yeah, I like Bull Durham. I like Bull Durham a lot. You don't like Bull Durham?
Bull Durham is the best baseball movie ever made,
I like
hands down to me. Now,
like
to give you some arguments for the other ones, like Bad News Bears was cute. Loved that movie from a long time ago. Major League was silly, but good, but very non-realistic to me with the whole, Major League team riding on buses and the different things that they dealt with. The Natural was different time period.
Yeah.
Thought it was a great movie, though.
Yeah.
Thought it was a great movie. Field of Dreams for me is one of the cheesiest. I know a lot of people will probably want to throw stones at me. I thought Field of Dreams was so cheesy that I couldn't get into that movie.
Right.
I just, if they build it, they will come. I'm just like, so that will never hit me. I will say this much: Sandlot, never seen it, but people rave about it as a young, young kids.
Young kids playing, pick up baseball, so to speak. But I want to ask, with Bull Durham, some of that movie remind you of your days in?
I spent 9 years in the minor leagues, bro.
Yeah.
That movie, and it came out. I have to look the date up when it came out. That movie hit so close to home.
Okay.
A lot of the little intricacies, like people watching, like, oh, they think that's funny. I'm like, no, that's real. Some of that stuff, is real.
Okay.
Like with the superstitions and the different things. And I was actually a part. My friend Al Lewis and his wife Michelle, I was their best man in '93. We did a wedding on the field in El Paso, Texas. And we did the whole thing where we did the bats at home plate. No, we did. They actually brought Al on the field. They brought Al and Michelle on the field in limo. And we did the wedding at home plate. And then Al was a fellow, he was a shortstop / second base / third baseman.
Yeah.
He actually played third that day. So I sat, but he played third that day, right? Mm-hmm. Then get this one. We had this tradition was called Diablo Dollars. Anybody who knows about El Paso, when you hit a home run, you would go to right next to our dugout, the stairs leading up. You go there and people would line up and you would have your helmet out. They would put $1 or whatever they wanted to give you. Oh, God. There were times, bro, when I hit a home run, you could make up to $100, $150 if the inning kept going on and on. You just stand there and people would come and you stuff your helmet. You take whatever and you give it to the bat boy and he put it away for you. And when either the line ended or you had to go back out in the field, some people would even just give the helmet to the bat boy and they would just keep putting it in there. And then after they would help you count it up and stuff like that. That's awesome. Now, for that particular day, Al was he was the man of the hour. They actually did Diablo Dollars for him like almost every inning. So that was the coolest thing. But getting back to the movie, cool. They had a wedding on the field. Remember at one point they had the meeting at the mound where they're trying to figure out what to get them for. Yes. All those type of conversations, bro, you would be surprised.
Really? So all kinds of random. So you meet at the mound and you just have a random conversation similar to.
Oh my God, we'd be surprised. Now, obviously, this is going back in the day. We'd be sitting there. You see that one up there in the section 125? Hey, right up there. We'd be sitting there pointing them out, bro.
That is hilarious.
We would be out there talking about everything. Now, another thing we do,
2 minutes,
we'd have, especially on days when I didn't play, I'd go down to the bullpen, pretend like I was getting warm, getting ready to go and pinch hit and stuff like that. And every kid wanted a ball, right? Your ball if you go give me a hot dog or a hamburger. You see them running up to their moms and dads, and they come back, you do a little exchange real quick, sit there in the bullpen, and it never fail. Then you get full, right? You want to go back to the dugout? Yeah. And the umpire, because we all knew the umpires, they'd be like, it looked like tasty burger you had right there. Bro, all the stuff in Bull Durham,
that was hilarious.
No
wonder you like that movie.
Oh, that is great. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's cool. Great movie. So, like I said, some of the others on the list, they're really good movies. Yeah. They don't hit home for me like that one does.
Yeah, because there's so much more Hollywood shine put on, especially when you look at a major league every time I'll take one of these things off.
Yeah.
I'll take one of these patches off.
But they had a baseball. They did a little trying to I guess combat the lack of interest through the summer. They're going to bring this one back next year.
Oh, yeah,
Does it have the same cachet following up after this one? I think you have the perfect matchup with Yankees and White Sox too, Midwest team. Everybody loves or hates the Yankees, so we'll see what they follow with next year. But
they got to. I think they a good 5-year window at least to give it.
Oh yeah. I just hope they don't make it too.
Start adding more stands out
there. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to take this break. We got the great Deborah Dubree who's going to be joining us this next segment coming up. Talk a little bit about what's going on with some of these athletes dealing with mental health and different things like that. So hope you're having a great Saturday so far, folks, and enjoying your weekend. Appreciate you hanging out. Easy and Jay, Easy Sports Talk. Be back after these messages, folks.
Are you okay?
Clear.
Zero Res. We specialize in removing the stuff that your favorite furry friend is leaving behind. With our Zero Res water, we're able to get deep down into the carpet and remove pet urine at the source. That's a lot different than the carpet cleaners who use chemical deodorizers to cover up the smell but ignore the real problem. We can even get to pet accidents that have gone into the pad under the carpet without your carpet. Go to ZeroResPhoenix.com and book your cleaning and see for yourself how Zero Res gets the odor out and leaves your carpet without the residue. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet Zero Resified for only $125. You care for your pets. Let Zero Res care for you and your home.
Check out the Diablo Show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060.
And welcome back to the Easy Sports Talk Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this beautiful Saturday out here in Arizona, wherever you might be. This segment right here is brought to you by
MTV Productions. Master the Brand Productions is a multi-service video production company that specializes in unearthing the pain points of your brand and providing digital solutions with relatability to engage your target audience. MTV Production aligns themselves with your vision to create amazing video content to highlight your business's entire unique story. For more information, visit, or should I say call, 623-335 0735 or visit mtbproductions.com.
Been looking forward to having this young lady on to join us. And one of my favorite people, and I've missed her. I haven't seen her in a while, Ms. Deborah Dubree, president of Clear Edge. She's an elite performance expert and strategist. And Deborah has trained and consulted and coached in 9 different countries and over 4 continents. Some of her clients include athletes, C-suite executives, senior leaders, managers and their teams, and she's actually been a great life coach to me. It's been a while since we've been able to sit down, but really appreciate her for all she does. And was looking to discuss this topic for the last couple of weeks, and no better person to do it with. Deborah Dubree, how are you doing and how have you been?
I'm just appreciative you called me a young lady.
You have one of the youngest hearts I know, Deborah. And I love you for
I always felt that gratefully. Thank you.
So great to have you on. And like I said, you are the first person to, because obviously we've been going through some things over the last few months dealing with COVID and some of our athletes dealing with things they've never dealt with before. And, just a couple examples. We had Naomi Osaka. She got to a point where she didn't want to do the media stuff at the French Open. They were going to fine her, also suspend her, et cetera, et cetera. She walked away from it. She also walked away from a couple other tournaments. Simone Biles over at the Olympics, she was dealing with some things and she got out of some competitions, and they both, in their instances, they both referenced mental health. They had to get away. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what are some of the things that are happening today that we might not have been paying enough attention to back in the day to cause, these type of instances where, so what are some of the triggers? What do you see when you hear a story like Naomi or Simone Biles? What comes to mind for you in terms of the athletes and their mental health, and even related to what's going on in the business world right now as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I want to make sure that people understand is there's a difference between mental health and mental illness. And when we're talking about mental health, this is the mental, emotional, physiological aspect that we as human beings, healthy human beings, go through pretty much every day. It's just to what extent and to what degree do we go through it. And when you talk about even Michael Phelps, to add to the list, Terry Bradshaw mentioned it, Serena Williams, Kevin Love. If you've watched anything from Michael Jordan, it's the mental health issues have been around forever because they're simply human issues. What we're looking at right now, I believe, is number one, there's a greater openness, thank you to all of those who have started talking about it, a greater openness to saying, this is really not a weakness, this is a human condition. And it's just like if you are going into a court and you need certain attributes of your body, the strength and conditioning. If you don't have it, we don't go, oh, there's something wrong with you. We go, oh, we'll figure it out and make yourself strong. It's the same thing with the mental aspect. You mentioned it just now, the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we had people, if you think about the needs, the hierarchy of needs, we went from the area of self-esteem where we had respect and their self-esteem and status and recognition. Things were going fairly well for most people, not all. We went right down to the bottom of the pyramid where we were concerned about the air that we breathe, the water, the food, our shelter, our ability to sleep, our personal security, employment, toilet paper.
Yeah.
Concerned about it all. So we went right down to the bottom of that hierarchical need around the world.
So,
and now as we move back into sports or business or whatever, now we're trying to deal with, okay, so who am I and where do I fit in? Because what I thought was normal isn't normal anymore.
and Deborah, can you give me an idea, or give our listeners an idea, how much does social media have to blame for, I guess, like you said, you were talking about image and different things. I remember back in my day, I'd say like I'm an old man, but I only had to worry about what was going on in my life right there and what I wanted others to know. With the explosion of social media, there is, to a certain degree, no more privacy for athletes. And sometimes you have to say it, some athletes and people in general put themselves in those situations, but how much does social media play a role in some of the stresses and I guess the hits to our mental health these days.
Well, I think it has a huge effect, and I always go back to with anything, whether it's social media or anything else. If you go on it and you read some of the comments and you buy into it, is that social media's fault, or is that your behavior that needs to be changed and adjusted so that you're not paying attention to those types of things anymore? Because because they are now down in this area of safety and security, and they can hide on the internet, they are just trying to find any way to find their own self-worth. And for some, they've decided that being a pain in the butt to everybody around them is the way to do it. I lead to the athletes, the entertainers, business people, whoever it might be, get off social media, or just interact with your friends and family and don't read any of the rest, because if you take it in, you've disowned it, you bought into it, whether it's true or not true.
And then we have Deborah Dubree here with us. And so I wanted to ask this, so along those same lines, is this the fact that it's much more, at least it's a topic with mental health that's being discussed more, whether it's on the executive level, the people at home, whatever it is, that it's something that's been around for forever, whether it's that parent that worries about that their stress or worrying about paying the bills affects their daily living, their relationships, their physical health. It's about that executive that's worrying about how can we make this next deal, and trying to understand that there's, I guess, varying levels or intensity levels when it comes to how your mental health can be impacted and coping mechanisms for that, right?
You're absolutely correct, Javon. It's a matter of how do we take it in and what do we do with it? And for each one of us, that's different. And a lot of that difference will come from where were we brought up? How were we brought up? How did we label the experiences we've had? Because we could have siblings going through in the same exact household, going through the same exact situations, and come out of it in two different ways because they've labeled their experience differently. They took it in and held it in their emotional body differently. For some person, slamming the door is no big deal. For another person, somebody slams the door and they're off the charts in fear and worry and concern because of something that happened in the past. So we have to look at, what are, and as mentioned earlier, what are some of our individual triggers? How do we respond mentally, emotionally, physiologically? And then what are some of the things that we can do about it?
So, Deborah, you walk a fine line because you coach so many different types of people in so many different types of industries. Let me ask you this. Back in, I think I was talking to Jay earlier, and, when I was going through stuff, sometimes we were just told, hey, suck it up. You got to get past this. There are also, for you, when you're, I guess, evaluating someone or speaking to them, there are times when you have to recognize, hey, this is not that deep. Like, sometimes you have to tell people to put their big boy pants on, right?
Right.
And,
right.
So everything isn't a mountain. Sometimes we can make things into that mountain and it's only a molehill. How do you balance that? How do you discover this is maybe not as big as someone is making it out to be, or, hey, sometimes you just have to be a little tougher and you got to get through this?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of it, because I work internationally and a lot of the work I do, let's take NFL players for a fact. I used to get calls from a locker room, or I should say called text message from a locker room, and I've seen it where it's right up to that 90-minute mark when they're supposed to be turning their phones off, and on Thanksgiving Day, actually. And, I'm grabbing the phone because I get a text message from a client that says I need to talk now. And what they were looking at, they were big, huge defensive players that was going out on the field. They had to deliver their uproar speech, and they needed theirs first. So it was a matter in that instance of knowing what do you need, when you need it, how do you need it. Let me deliver to it, and let me deliver it to you in your words. So I was cussing up his words back to him to get him in the state that he needed to be to go out there and do that for others. In other instances, I might be talking to somebody. I had a guy once again that just happened to be an NFL player. I heard his tone of voice change on the phone. This was after practice one day. He had had an injury that we had gone through where he was supposed to be a career-ending injury. And I worked with him all through his rehab to get him back onto the field feeling good about his body, but he was going through some issues. I simply heard a change in the tone of voice where I said, I know something's going on. When you're ready, let me know. And he just started sobbing. And I knew at that point that I was in a deep issue, and let the energy just move back and forth so he could get rid of some of that energy, get it out, and then said, now, what was the crying about? At that point, he could tell me the real issue, which was, I've been injured to the point where I don't have any guaranteed money in my contract, and if I get injured again, I'm out. And therefore, what I'm, going to align against, he was a big offensive player, and he said, I can tell I'm hesitating. And he said, yet I'm stronger, in better condition than I've ever been, even before I drafted, and yet my mind and my emotional body is just taking me out at the knees. So I can tell by change in tone of voice, I can change in energy and the communication that we're having. And there are times when I have to hold their hand and walk them through whatever they're going through to get them to the other side. And there's times when I go, yeah, thanks for sharing. It's a bunch of bullshit. So what are we going to do about it? And then it's asking a question. It's a pattern interrupt to get them to go, oh, all right, well, I could do this, I could do that. And, we're back in resolution mode.
Again, we're here with Deborah Dubree, here talking about mental health. So along those same lines, when it comes to, how do you teach the importance of acknowledging when something is maybe coming on, those feelings of doubt, those feelings of whatever that is that's impacting your performance, whether you're on the field, the court, whatever, in the boardroom? How do you acknowledge those times, being able to try to do things to change your feelings, change your way of thinking to get you back to so that you can perform at the highest level?
Well, and I think acknowledgement is a huge word. That's the first step. And I look at a formula that I have where if you look at your thoughts and your emotions when they're repeated, thoughts and emotions are the glue to memory. They're what makes it stick in your memory, whether good or bad. Thoughts or emotions that are repeated become beliefs. Those beliefs govern your behaviors. Behaviors give you certain results, and those results always have consequences. So if someone doesn't like the consequences of what's going on right now, maybe they're sitting on the bench when they want to be on the field or the court, whatever it might be, they're not getting the results they want, they're missing plays, then we just backtrack to what are the thoughts and the emotions that you've had that are causing that. That starts to get us the start of a formula where we can look at what triggered those thoughts and emotions. And we look at what people, places, things, or events that triggered that. So we start to work the formula backwards to go to the core rather than going, oh, let's just hold hands and hum a little bit and it'll be fine. We're going to go back to the core, and we're going to resolve the core and then rebuild and put in a technique that fits into their normal routine that has them playing at their ultimate best again.
And Deborah, we have about a minute left. Can you tell everybody how they can be in touch with you to utilize what you bring to the table?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. They can always phone my office at 480-585-0420. Leave a detailed message. You can go to Deborah at DeborahDubree.com and go out to the page. There's a form you can fill out to get to me. Or you can email me at Deborah@DeborahDubree.com. Make sure you put in the subject line Easy Sports. Otherwise, I delete a lot and fast, and you'll end up in my junk folder.
So Deborah, I cannot thank you enough for coming on with us, and I cannot wait to see you again soon. So we'll have to, figure out a time where we can grab a cup of coffee like we used to. And I thank you so much, Deborah.
Oh, thank you. Looking forward to one of those big hugs and the conversation and time together. Thank you.
Absolutely. That was Deborah Dubree. One of the best, I'm telling you. Like I said, if you're looking for an edge in your performance, and it's not just athletes, it's CEOs,
right.
presidents of companies. She works with everybody. So thank you, Deborah. We're going to take this break coming up. Last break ahead here, wrapping things up. Good show, man. We always kind of keep it eclectic. We keep it moving with all kinds of different topics, and I think that was one that had to be addressed. So appreciate Deborah coming on. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Easy and Jay, on the Easy Sports Talk Show, KDUS 1060 AM, as well as KSLX HD channel 200.7 and Facebook. Take this last break. Be back to wrap things up, folks.
Are you good?
Quick question, Aaron. Elise Show, me and his mother and dad. Love them. Majestic Services, Christy Rogers for Go Arizona, Brother Howie Schwab. I actually reached out to Howie and see if we can get him on the show soon. With winquick.com, Brother Mark Twain Beaver with MTV Productions, Joanna Rosalie and Ed Cole with Insight Sports, and Customer First Solutions. I want to give Aaron a great shout. Great to have you back, man. Appreciate all you do. Told you that during the break. Love you, man. And thank Deborah Dubree for calling in. Great segment there. And my partner here sitting there getting his chair dance on.
I remember what the RoboCop looks
RoboCop. So, short segment because we did split that one a little longer. You got something for us here?
Yeah, real quick. Don't forget to make it a part of, maybe save it somewhere or whatever. EasySportsTalk.com. EasySportsTalk.com. You can find within there in the tab. There's a tab for Believe in the Arizona Cardinals. Once we recording those live, we're putting them up on our YouTube page as well. So that's Easy Sports Talk Show. And then our Facebook, of course, is Easy Sports Talk Show. So again, YouTube is Easy Sports Talk Show. Facebook is Easy Sports Talk Show. And our website is EasySportsTalk.com.
So we're going to save our movies for next week. We get only a few minutes left here, but entertainment as far as the weekend goes, a lot of preseason football. I think there's like 10 games on this weekend, or at least on Saturday. Will you be watching, or are you like, nah? Now, see, I have to do a little watching at least because it's scouting time for me for all the fantasy football leagues that I'm in. I gotta get on the game, man. I can't just rely on the magazines to help me out. So I gotta catch a little bit of first string through some of these games to see, who's gonna fill out the roster.
But do you really know?
You don't know. It's a crapshoot. I mean, you go and you draft. You think you have this perfect draft. You get Michael Thomas, then he gets hurt in the first week and doesn't come back at all that season. So it's just decides he doesn't want to play. Yeah. So, but like I said, it's for educational purposes. I will be watching at least a little bit of some of these games.
What is your thought on that? I never did ask you about that. So we know that Michael Thomas, he was had foot issues, and so he, instead of getting it operated on in the off season, he decided to wait. What's your thought on that? Would you, if let's say you were both, well, I guess if you're trying to make a roster, you say, nah, I'll get it done whenever you want me to get it done. Would you have? I
always think that's the stupidest thing in the world. When most of us know our bodies, so you know when you're hurt. You know when you're hurt. You know when you're injured. When you're hurt, you can work through it, let it heal. When you're injured like that, and it's something that's into. You go get the operation. For me, I always marvel at these dudes. They get an operation 2 weeks before training camp. I'm like, didn't you know you might need to get that done in February or March?
This is my vacation time, man. So
that's selfish, though. And I do know some dudes do that. I didn't want to get an operation during the summer because I wanted to go try. I had to go to because what happens when you get an operation right at the season. You got to do the rehab and stuff. Right. So your team will mandate. Hey, we need you in here 3-4 days a week. So some dudes don't want to get it done because that's what mess up my off season. At the same time, that's selfish stuff. Yeah. If you had to get it done, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks before training camp, I get my ankle done. Now you're on IR for the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season. That's right. And then in a way, that's almost like stealing money too. I
agree.
Yeah,
Shaq used to do that too.
Oh,
he said he got hurt on company time, so he was going to get rehab on company time. But I'm sure he doesn't feel the same way. Being a part owner of the Kings. If you get hurt, I want you to get your stuff worked on now.
Oh yeah. So what do you got going for this weekend, man?
After this, going to we have a little birthday party event for our youngest. So we're going to meet up with the family over there. And trying to get a little bit of running in today and tomorrow. And we're gonna start trying to get some of these articles up on EasySportsTalk.com. So we're gonna try to get into that rhythm and so I have to try to become as good a writer as you.
Did you give me topics yet? I got to come up with my own topics too, don't I?
The topic is the Lakers. Why they are the next dynasty? That is the topic.
Yeah, in the senior league, yeah.
Hey man, you got to win these championships, wheelchairs or whatever.
So we got about a minute left. Just wanted to once again thank everybody for helping us do what we do on the show. Once again, great job, Aaron. And appreciate our listeners. Hope you have a great finish to your weekend.
They pay full price to go to these preseason games.
That's crazy.
To watch a series, if that. Or people said, there's our starting quarterback. Look, Johnny, he's over there. Little Johnny, he's over there on the sideline.
Yeah, he's having a conversation. He's spitting sunflower seeds out. He's, that to me, I mean, I know that's part of the process with these season tickets. There's no way you would get me to, you know. But did Earl go to the game yesterday?
Who?
Earl and Sean, didn't they go or no?
I don't know if Sean did or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, appreciate you hanging out with Easy and Jay. Once again, thank you everybody for helping us do what we do on this show. We're gonna be back next week, and hopefully just as good. So thank you again, Deborah, for jumping on with us. Thank you, Jay, for being as pretty as you always are. Easy Sports Talk. We out till next week. Be easy out there.
Oh, you okay?
Happy birthday, Nika. Happy birthday, Mitch.
Yeah,
Happy birthday,
man.
Dan.
Yeah, man.
Happy birthday, Eliza.
Yeah, man.
All right, you guys are clear. Good show.